Okay, we'll begin with prayer to Lord Krishna in spiritual world. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Shri Krishna Balram ki jai, Nitai Gauraj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Welcome back to our Gita study program from ISKCON St. Louis. We are in Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Welcome Pravesh, Swami Mataji and Aditya. Is anybody else here join now? Okay, so far that much. So, we'll begin with some discussion. Anyone remembers what was the first verse in this? Lord Krishna speaks in this chapter, and he gives emphasis on parampara, how to get the transcendental knowledge. How to get the transcendental knowledge. So any knowledge that we are getting in this world, there may be different types of knowledge. Some knowledge may be just how to do something. Another knowledge may be something about what is the existence, what is the purpose of life. Those are the philosophical questions. There may be like, some principles, some practices, and there may be something abstract. So all different kind of knowledge may be there. But what is transcendental? Transcendental means something which is beyond the reach of our material senses, beyond the modes of material nature. Transcendental knowledge. So how to get this transcendental knowledge? Aditya.
Sir, by following Bhagavad Gita, and it's like the instruction given by Krishna. Like it's the easiest way to get transcendental knowledge.
Yes. And the knowledge of Gita is coming down
from the Visuvan, the sun god,
Yes.
and then Manu, and then Ikshvaku.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the process of acquiring this knowledge, the knowledge is given in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna. It is compiled by Vyasdev now for our easy access. But the knowledge is actually eternal, right? And Lord Krishna gives from the beginning of this creation. He gives first to Vivashwan because Vivashwan is the presiding deity of sun planet. And that is the symbol of light. So enlightenment happens to Vivashwan. Vivashwan gives this knowledge to his descendant. So Ikshvaku, Manu, and then Manu gives to the descendant Ikshvaku. That way it is coming down in disciplic succession. From one teacher gives to the student, the next student gives to the next student, like that. So this is an authorized disciplic succession. It is not that somebody manufactured in between, that somebody stand up in the cave and then, oh, I got enlightenment. It's not like that. It is coming down in the chain of disciplic succession directly from Lord Krishna himself. And this is the way we have to receive this, right? So when you see at the end of introduction of Bhagavad Gita, there is a disciplic succession mentioned from Lord Krishna all the way up to Srila Prabhupada, who has translated this book. So we are receiving this knowledge in authentic disciplic succession. Any guru or any spiritual master who does not conform to the disciplic succession, who is not coming into this authorized parampara of Guru Shishya, then it is not a authorized system of receiving transcendental knowledge. Very nice. So Lord Krishna says, I have been giving this knowledge to the royal orders, Raja Rishis. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarsi vidu. So the Vidwan Raja Rishis he was giving. But then what happens is it is lost somewhere. It is lost somewhere because some people were not serious. They couldn't pass this knowledge. So to receive this knowledge, we have to sincerely receive this with the prescribed method given to us by our spiritual master. But when we are not sincere, we just ignore the instruction of a spiritual master, then this transcendental knowledge, we cannot realize it. We may theoretically speak, but it does not get internalized to us. We are not self-motivated on that. We don't get motivated. We don't actually accept in our heart. Externally, we may accept it, but internally in our heart, we think, it doesn't make sense to me like that. So we have to practice this. Practice the instruction of spiritual master. We have certain rules and regulations to receive this knowledge. So when we practice this, then we are authorized to pass down to our students like that. Otherwise, like it gets lost. So it was lost. Lord Krishna wants to revive it to Arjuna this time, right? So here is the instruction that we must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, and without our own whimsical participation in the matter. But if we do some whimsical addition, suppose we want to show some creativity in Bhagavad Gita, then the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is lost. So it has to be conveyed as it is intended by Lord Krishna. Is that clear? Okay. So what was the qualification? What is the ideal student qualification here? What is the qualification of Arjuna? Is highlighted here. Can someone read? Arjuna is a devotee as well as friend of Krishna, right? So Srila Prabhupada says, at least to begin with, we may not be a devotee, but at least we should be friendly. That means we should be like a open to understand what Krishna has to say in this Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is actually the authentic like Aditya is saying, this is the book from where we get transcendental knowledge. So Lord Krishna's original words are recorded in this book, right? So it is not like some people say, oh, Bible is for Christians, Muslims read Quran, and Hindu scripture is Bhagavad Gita. But actually Bhagavad Gita is non-sectarian. Suppose you have a medicine, like you are giving nowadays the COVID shots, vaccination. There is nothing vaccination, there is a Muslim vaccination, there is a Hindu vaccination, there is a vaccination for Americans, it may be manufactured in America, but the vaccination is given to Indians also, right? So there is an exchange of this vaccination for the whole human population. Likewise, although this book, this Kurukshetra land, the tract of the land is in the part of the earth, it is called India. So Kurukshetra, this dialogue is happening in Kurukshetra before the battle, Dharmakshetra. So although this dialogue is happening there in India, although Lord Krishna performed his activities in that tract of land, this knowledge is for everyone, every living entity. This is non-sectarian. Like the medicine is for everyone, like that this knowledge, transcendental knowledge, is for everyone. There is nowhere Lord Krishna says, I will speak this knowledge only to Hindus. No. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita you will find that. So it is for everyone. Okay. Of course, one has to be able to understand by using his senses like a human being. But if we are animals, we may not have the developed senses to understand the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. But there are other methods to bring the animals, like when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's so important to chant, not only for our purification and our connection with Krishna, but also whoever hears this mantra, even they are animals, insects, plants, everyone gets benefited because this is transcendental sound. Therefore, it's very important to chant this Mahamantra. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, came to this material world 500 years ago, and he stressed this point that this Mahamantra will go to every town and village all over the world. And this is happening. Otherwise, how we could chant in different small places in America? You can see it's not only in America, but it is in Africa, it is in South America, it's even in Alaska, it's part of America. Even in Siberia, you can find people are chanting. Even they are chanting more. And to your surprise, maybe you already know that the biggest expansion right now is happening in China. They are accepting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and translating all of this Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all Krishna's words in Chinese now. It's a big expansion in China. And they have left behind Russia. Russia was a big expansion ground for Hare Krishna movement. And now the latest release of this Bhagavad Gita translated in Arabic. So even Arabic people, they are reading this Bhagavad Gita now. So we have to open our heart. It's not that, it's for only some people and then, I don't care about this is for only those people. Not like that. It's only for those who know Sanskrit. No, it's not like that. It's for every language, every culture, everybody. Okay, so section B we covered. We are still in section A. We have to cover verse 10. So let's go quickly, why Lord Krishna came. We covered this last time. Lord Krishna, Arjuna asked, how come you gave this knowledge to Vivashwan? You seem like you are my contemporary. So how it happened that in the past you gave this knowledge? And Lord Krishna replies that, my dear Arjun, you and me both have taken many births. I remember everything, but you do not remember. Although you are subduer of enemy, although you are Parantapa, You can control many enemies. You can overcome enemies, but you cannot remember your past birth. So that is the difference we learned from Srila Prabhupada's commentary, that the difference between ordinary jiva is that ordinary jiva or living entity is forced to take birth in certain type of body depending on the past activities, karma. Whatever the karma we are performing, we are building our next body. Therefore, it is very important to understand what karma we have to do in this life, so that we do not degrade our next life. Because ultimately, we are eternal soul. So dying is just changing the dress. So what kind of dress we will get after we leave this dress here? What kind of next dress will be? That we have to understand. So as a living entity, we forget when we change the dress, when we change body. But Krishna never changes his body because he is not coming into material body. He is always in his original transcendental body, which is all spiritual. There is no material coating. He is not coming in the modes of material nature. Therefore, Lord Krishna says he always remembers. So that is the difference between Lord Krishna and other living entities. The Lord Krishna is always having transcendental body. There is no Maya. But there are some people, they have like a misconception. They are called Mayavadis. The Mayavadis think that God also has a material body made of Maya. So they think that Krishna's body is also made of Maya. Therefore, they are called Mayavadis. And they think that, we also have a body, Krishna also has a material body. And also after we die, then we and Krishna become one, we become God. That's called Mayavada. That is called last layer of Maya. So like somebody is completely deluded. They are thinking that, I will merge in God. But if you have been with me in this journey of Bhagavad Gita study, in chapter 2, we learned that, we are all eternal individual souls. We never came into existence. We will not come into existence. We have been always there. We are always eternal. Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam, we said. We are all Nitya, eternal. So there is no question of burning or cutting. Lord Krishna says, Achedyoyam, Akledyoyam, you cannot cut into pieces, you cannot burn by fire, you cannot sterilize, you cannot dissolve in water. You can never destroy it. The soul is eternal. So you are going to change the dress. So when we are going to change the dress, then we have to see whether we get higher dress or lower dress or spiritual dress. That's what we have to be very careful and sincerely study Bhagavad Gita to make this life comfortable, and also definitely the future life perfection of the human life is to elevate ourselves, do not downgrade. So these are different explanations, and we went in detail. Today we are just going into summary. That Lord Krishna says about his appearance in verse 6. He says, although I am unborn and my transcendental body is never deteriorating, never deteriorates. He is unborn and never deteriorates, but still he appears in his own original transcendental form. So when you hear about Lord Krishna's birth, Lord Krishna was born in a jail, right? You see this picture. Vasudeva and Devaki, they were jailed by brother-in-law Kansa. And Lord Krishna, in his four-arm form, he appeared before Vasudeva and Devaki. And Vasudeva and Devaki prayed, thanked the Lord that because of their past tapasya, their austerity and penance, and their prayer to Lord, he appeared as their own child. And so they requested him to transform into a baby form. And that's how he transformed into baby form. So his birth is not like an ordinary material birth. He's not forced, but he comes by his own pleasure. by his own internal energy. Okay, so with that, we read that, and from verse 7, we learn when he comes, why he comes. So Lord Krishna says, Yada Yada. This is very famous, like you might have heard this in TV serials or cinemas somewhere. Yada Yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami aham. So whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, glani of the dharma, then, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant, and whenever there is a rise of irreligion, so glanir dharmasya glani bhavati, and abhyutthanam adharmasya. Adharma is rising and dharma is declining. At that time, Lord Krishna descends by his own self. So, Srijami aham. So it's not that like he is creating himself, but he appears. Example given by Srila Prabhupada is like a sun. Sun is setting and rising. Sun is always there. In some part of the earth, if you travel, you can see. Now it is dark here in America, but it will be light in India. That part of the world. So Krishna is also like appearing and disappearing. So when he appears, whenever there is a decline in religious practices. And why? He wants to fix that. And we learned about like once in a lifetime of Brahma, he appears in a day of Brahma and one Manvantar and one Dwapara Yuga. The time is clearly presented. And he comes to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, right? Paritranaya sadhunam and vinashaya, to finish the duskrita, the miscreants. Who are the miscreants? Who do not follow Krishna's rules and regulations, who do not follow dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavad pranitam. The rules and regulations given by Krishna are actually dharma. So what is dharma? Whatever Krishna says to do, that is dharma. So anyway, he has given all the religious codes and practices in the Vedas. And he is speaking also in Bhagavad Gita. He spoke in Bhagavad Gita already. So, but then people get engaged in sense gratification and they do not follow God's law, they become criminals. And so at that time, Lord Krishna has to maintain the law and order, right? So now he is telling Arjuna to fight, to maintain the law and order. So he is there to annihilate the miscreants. Duryodhana and all the party in Kaurava Sena, they are all miscreants. So he has to finish them. And he shows universal form in chapter 11 to convince Arjuna fully that yes, Arjuna, you just become my instrument. Nimitta matra bhava sabyasachi. You just become my instrument. And everything I am doing here. He shows the universal form is devouring all those, soldiers in the battlefield. And those Duryodhana and his brothers, they were rushing to Krishna's universal form mouth. So he could understand, Arjuna could understand that yes, Lord Krishna is here. He asks who you are. It looks very, very fearful form of the universal form. And he says, Kalo aham asmi. I am the time, eternal time. I came here to destroy these people. So he just say, you just fight, become my instrument. That's what we have to do. We just have to become Krishna's instrument. Then our life is perfect. We have to become Krishna's servant, Krishna's person. Then we don't get any karma on our own accord, but we work on behalf of Krishna. We have to become instrument of Krishna, in hand of Krishna. And how to become that is that to connect to Krishna in the disciplic succession. So we have to get instruction from Krishna's representative. Like Srila Prabhupada is giving instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. And now we have our spiritual masters who are trained by Srila Prabhupada. So we have to get the shelter of the spiritual master who represents Krishna. So that way we can become Krishna's instrument. So Krishna appears in every millennium, yuga, in millennium after millennium, yuga, every yuga. So he appears to establish the principle of religion, dharma sasthapa, to establish the principles of religion. He comes. And now, very important verse we learned last time. So, what happens if we know that Krishna's birth and activities, Janma and Karma of Krishna, is Divya. Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So, that means when we understand, when we realize the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, then what happens? Then, when we leave this body, then we do not come back to this material world. We do not get a material body, but we get a spiritual body. And Krishna is saying here, Punarjanmana iti, mam yati. He says, you will come back to me. Tyaktva deham punarjanmana. So if you give up this body, then there is no rebirth in this material world, but going back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. It's a very important verse 9. Usually devotees recite during Krishna Janmashtami, and we did that last Sunday. So we're very fortunate we did that. Now we are coming to verse 10 today. Okay, verse 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upasrita bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhamam agata. Okay. Someone there can read English translation here.
Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me.
Thank you so much. So the last verse, simply by knowing Krishna, we are guaranteed by Krishna to go back to Krishna, right? So what is the qualification of someone to go back to Krishna? So what quality they have? They are free from attachment of this material world. They are free from fear of being a person in this spiritual world. People are fearful. They don't want to become person anymore because the personal relationship is like very conflicting. And then they are free from the frustration or anger of confusion in this material world. How they become free? By absorbing themselves in Krishna, by taking refuge in Krishna, Krishna's shelter, Manmaya, like we become like Krishnamaya. And we take shelter of Krishna. That means we take refuge in Krishna. So we are always seeking Krishna's mercy. Like that. So we may not be there, but those who are purified, many persons got purified, and they are in that madbhavam, Krishna's bhav. They get Krishna's love. Actually, in one way, it is a beginning stage of Krishna's transcendental love. So after purification, those who get love of Krishna, and then they are going back to Godhead. So that is still a higher stage. So we'll read this. I think we'll read the purport from now on, then we'll come and summarize in the slides here. So let's go stop share, and I will share the screen for the website of Gita. And let's see. Okay, share screen. There is the Gita. Okay, you guys can see that one now, right? Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. Now, Pravesh, you read the translation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you read the purport also?
Okay. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the supreme absolute truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialists cannot even imagine that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the supreme to be impersonal, and because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again, and so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles in the ocean, which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. This is a kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all, being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradiction of various types of philosophical speculation. They become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are in a diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause, and some of them disbelieve in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness.
Just hold on. Yeah, I think so. This last sentence gave you like a summary of what Srila Prabhupada is saying in this reading so far, right? So the first category is some people are too much material attached, correct? So they don't want to do any spiritual activity. So that is this sloka is saying Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. So somebody who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, and then they absorb in Krishna, purified by like that, then they attain Krishna's love, right? But many people are attached to the material world. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that those who do not see anything beyond material body, material creation, they are too much attached to the material thing. So they don't want to do anything spiritual. And then second category is somebody, they are afraid of the personal relationship. So they think that, oh, now I have some personal problem. So after death also, if I have a personal relationship, then it is painful. So they want to kind of merge into supreme spiritual cause. They think, okay, I just vanish myself. They think so, but it may not happen. And some of them disbelieve in everything. They're totally confused and they become angry and then they don't want to do. They become hopeless, frustrated persons. Okay. Continue this last class of men who are frustrated. What happens to them?
This last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. One has to get rid of all three stages of material consciousness: attachment to the material life, fear of a spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these three stages of material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. The last stage of the devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead.
Yes. So one has to get free from all three stages to get to the stage of bhava. and how to get to the stage of bhava, how one gets to that highest stage is described now by Srila Prabhupada in this verse. From Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is the nectar of devotion. So there's this sloka here. Can somebody else read from here? Thank you, Pravesh. So how to get to that stage is follow the rules and regulations prescribed by the Lord and guided by the spiritual master. And that spiritual master should be in disciplic succession. That way we can gradually elevate ourselves to love of God. Okay, let's see somebody else can read from here. Who is next? Prachi.
Yeah. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.15-16, the science of devotional service, Adhu Shraddha Tatah Sadhu Sango Tat Bhajna Kriya Tato Natha Nivrittah Satya Tato Nistha Ruchis Tatha अथा शक्तिस् तथो भव्यस् तथा प्रेमा भ्युदञ्चति साधकानाम् अयं प्रेमः प्रादुर्भावे भवत्क्रमः. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of a spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love for God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. In the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations that result in void philosophy. Then one can ultimately attain to the abode of the Supreme Lord.
Yes. So these three things, right? Three things: raga, which is attachment to the material life; bhaya, the fear of personal relationship in spiritual world; and krodha is frustration because of the confusion, the voidness of the philosophy, not having a clear-cut understanding. So that is something obstacle for us to overcome, to absorb ourselves in Krishna's service. When we want to overcome, we need guidance from the spiritual master. So there should be a preliminary stage of Shraddha, Adav Shraddha. Shraddha means a preliminary faith. When we have that, then gradually, then we seek association, the sadhu sangha. We seek friendship of the devotees. Then there is a bhajan kriya. So then among the sadhus, we practice bhajan kriya, practice the glorification process, bhakti yoga, bhajan kriya process to serve Krishna, sadhana stage. Then by the sincere application of the sadhana bhakti, bhajan kriya under the guidance of a spiritual master, then one gets rid of all the material desires, anarthas. Then one is fixed in one's determination to serve Krishna. That is called Nishtha stage. And if you advance further, then you get taste, ruchi. From that, asakti, you get a taste to Krishna, asakti. You're always thinking about serving Krishna. You don't want to leave Krishna. Then you get the bhava. You have the spiritual emotions, love for Krishna. That is the preliminary love for Krishna. Then the highest stage is called prema. So bhava, and then more condensed form of bhava or love of God is called prema. At that point, Srila Prabhupada says that one is perfected in love of Krishna. He never, that is the highest perfectional stage of life. In prema stage, there is constant engagement in transcendental loving service of the Lord. So this is the stage. I will show some graphics also in the PowerPoint. But now I think we should read the next verse. But then, there may be a question like, your devotees, they understand your birth and activities to be transcendental, but there may be someone who may not be surrendered to you. So what happens to them? So this kind of question, like, yeah, but everyone is not there. So what about them? So Lord Krishna answers that. Lord Krishna says in verse 11, for them also there is something here. So he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tatheva bhajamyaham mama vartamano vartante manushya partha sarvasaha. So who is next there? Now, Anil Prabhu, you are there?
Prabhu, you're calling me.
Yeah.
Hello. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We can hear you, Prabhu. We can
Okay,
hear
sure,
you.
Prabhu. Yeah. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prithvi. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma Jyotir effulgence and as the all-pervading super soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as a devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as supreme master, another as personal friend, and another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the super reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot reach the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to the material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Agneshwara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless therefore one comes to the higher perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Whether one is without the desire, the condition of the devotees, or is the desirous of all the fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. This is very important sloka actually. Akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yeta purusham param. So one has to do tivra bhakti yoga, whether one has a material desire, all kind of material desire, or somebody do not have any material desire, or somebody is desiring to get moksha. So any kind of desire or not desire you have, but still you must do tivra bhakti yoga to the Supreme Purusham Param, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not divert one's attention to other worshippers, other worship, but one has to focus one's attention in bhakti yoga to Krishna, right? So there are different people, they may not accept Krishna's birth and activity as transcendental, so they are impersonalist. They want to merge in the effulgence of the Lord, so Lord Krishna mercifully absorbs them in his Brahma Jyotir. So the impersonalist, but there are some Mayavadis, they may not have perfected their impersonalist practice, so definitely they fall down again. And karmis, they definitely fall down because they want to enjoy their fruits in the next life. And then yogi, they want to get the siddhis, so they also get this. So Krishna ye yatha mam prapadyante, the way they approach to me, they get it. Everyone is following Krishna's path directly or indirectly. Somebody is going towards Krishna, somebody is still in the path of Krishna, but somebody is walking away. Like suppose Krishna is in north and there is only one path. So those who are devotees, they are going towards north. Those who are non-devotees, impersonalists, atheists, they are going towards south. Maybe like that. Or somebody may be branching out here and there and taking a stopover and forgetting. Okay, but ultimately Krishna is the ultimate shelter for everyone because he is the source. Now the last verse for today, verse 12. What do some people do? Kankshata karmana krishsiddhim yanta iha devata chipram hi manuse loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. So translation and purport by Swami Mataji, you're there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's see. Maybe halfway you can read, and
Yes, sure.
Aditya can read halfway. Okay, go ahead.
Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. But there is a great misconception about the gods of or demigods of this material world, and men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas say, Nityo Nityanam, God is one. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna, the Supreme God is one. Krishna and the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities. Nityanam with different grades of material power, they cannot be equal to the Supreme God. Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or present. Even the great Prasanti, Prasanti, even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva. Shiva Vrinchi Nutam. It cruciously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Either Deva denotes a powerful man or demigod of the material world. But Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even
Okay,
Sri
Madhuri,
Pada.
I think we can take a break here. Thank you.
Okay, Ji.
Okay, so Iha Devata, people, because in this verse, Lord Krishna says that in this world, many people want some material benefits. They want a quick success in fruitive activities. They may want, quick success in their career or quick success in their wealth and anything material. So they may quickly approach some devatas. Okay, so they want to get money, so they try to approach Ganesha or Lakshmi and all those. There may be different ways one worship. There are different types of devatas mentioned in second canto, and in the last verse that we read, akama sarva kama moksho kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yata purusha param. So that is the concluding verse. Before that verse, there are like 20 verses where Sukadeva Goswami says, if you want a good wife, then you worship Uma. If you want a good husband, then you worship Lord Shiva. If you want money, then you worship this. If you want long life, then you worship Ashwini Kumar. Like that, that if you want power, if you want to control your enemy, if you want to, so many things there. If you want to fulfill your material desire, then you go to this demigod, that demigod. But then in this material world, there are like people, Iha Devata, like they are worshipping like some leaders, some politicians to get their benefits. So Srila Prabhupada clarifies that there is a difference between worship of demigods or any powerful man and Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Krishna is Supreme Ishvara, Ishvara Parama. Krishna is the Supreme Controller from whom everything has come, right? And all the demigods are his empowered agents who are controlling different material affairs. They are also Jiva Tattvas, but because of their higher qualification, Lord Krishna has empowered them to control certain aspects, like Lord Brahma is empowered to do the secondary creation in this world. Primary creator is Krishna in the form of Mahavishnu, then Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu, different form of Vishnu. But then Brahma comes out from Garbhodakshay Vishnu and he gets the Vedic knowledge from Lord Vishnu, and then he gets the blueprint to create this material world, and then he creates. So Lord Shiva also, he is always praying to Lord Krishna. So even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they are in charge of mode of passion and mode of ignorance. They are one of the controllers, but they are not the supreme controller. Ultimately, supreme controller is Krishna. So if we worship demigods, we may get some material fruits, but it is temporary and it is going to finish in this lifetime. And it may not last like a lifetime, but it may last like few years, whatever you get. And definitely it is going to finish with the body, like we have to leave this, everything in this world. Everything we have to leave. As soon as we die, then everything is finished. Whether we are billionaire or we have, we are king of the whole planet, doesn't matter. Everything is finished. So everything is temporary. But when we take the bhakti yoga, tivrena bhakti yogena, that means it is eternal to us. It is going to be eternal benefit. So even if you die, it is going to go with you. So we should avoid taking shelter of anything else other than the Supreme Lord Krishna, and we should focus in our bhakti yoga to Lord Krishna. Then we completely get purified by his service, and we make this life perfect, and also definitely we're going back to Godhead next life, as he guarantees in verse 9 and 10. So Aditya is the last one. Can you read from here?
Yes, sir. Even Siripada Sankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Hartajana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness, and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this world, however, human society is made after temporary things such as the material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, people worship the demigods or powerful men in human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore now owing to the so-called leaders or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They are all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worshipping empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity.
Yes, that's what we do, right? We go to worship. There are some people, they do so many kind of before going to get the American visa. There is a visa temple in Hyderabad. You can go and worship, and you can get American visa. So like that, there are some netas in South India, like they have their own mandirs. So Jayalalitha Mandir, Karunanidhi Mandir, so many types of different mandirs are there. Amitabh Bachchan Mandir. Some foolish man, they were even worshipping Trump in India. So those are all different foolish ideas. So they may get some temporary benefit, but then they are all temporary. So any question and discussion? These are very interesting topics Lord Krishna is bringing. That some people are, even though I'm telling them that if you connect with me, if you worship me, if you develop your love for me, after you leave this body, you are certainly going to come back to me. Even though we hear from Krishna, but there are some people they don't want they don't want to understand that we have in future life. They don't even understand, too much attached. They don't believe in anything spiritual. So for them, they may not even go to temple to do some demigod worship. Some people may have a little bit like more advanced, they civilized in Varnashrama system. Lord Krishna will speak about Varnashrama system he creates. Next verse, very important verse. We will read about how Lord Krishna creates that and who fits in there and how do they have this civilized society. But then those people who are in civilized society in Varnashrama system, they may be going to demigod worship. But who is going after demigod worship in America? Like everybody is kind of lost here, you see. So who is demigod for here? You know, everybody is God here. Everybody thinks I am God. One time I went to a temple in Chicago, and then one lady came. And there was like a arti going on in the altar. There is a Radha Krishna, beautiful Radha Krishna temple, right? And in the left side you have Gaur Nitai, right side you have Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. In the middle you have Radha Krishna. They are named Kishore Kishori. And Kishore Kishori's Aarti going on, noon Aarti, like midday Aarti going on. And one lady came and she saw that this Pujari, this priest, is worshipping the Lord and fanning by the peacock feather, right? Like this they do. And this person, she brought her own peacock feather and she was fanning herself like this, like this, like this. So this is what like everybody thinks I am God. Like, you know, like in India, like at least people think that, okay, this incense I will, you know, offer before my exam, like I do Saraswati Puja and I get good mark like that. Or they go to like Hanuman temple and then you know, they crack a coconut or something and they want something good. That's the like mode of goodness. They worship devatas. But they a mode of passion also, mode of passion and goodness. But the mode of ignorance is like they worship themselves or they worship some neta. They worship some like you know, politicians to get their work done. Some people, they don't even reach to politicians. They just pay some money to the agent of politicians to get their job done. Or if you want to get a government job, then you have to pay some lump sum money to one of these corrupt politician, and then he has approached to the board of recruitment and something, and it goes on like that. So yeah, that was very unfortunate that people don't recognize, and then they take to, you know, side worship and they get lost. And Srila Prabhupada is so much compassionate. He was born 125 years ago. At the advanced age of 70, he took a steamship. He spent like 35 days, got 2 heart attacks on the way. He finally reached America, and he had only 40 rupees in his pocket, and that too he couldn't get in dollars, and he didn't know where to go, what to do. He just had a trunk full of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, and he had translated Bhagavad Gita, but that was like sold in Raddi. In India, ka Raddi kagaj, you know, like a trash paper, and now he translated the Bhagavad Gita. This this version of Bhagavad Gita that we have, he translated after he came to America. In the beginning, he didn't even have this. He just had the Bhagavatam. So he took so much pain. Why he took? He just took this pain to give this gift of Krishna consciousness to the whole world, because this knowledge is to be given to everyone. Lord Chaitanya predicted that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will be chanted all over the world, and Lord Krishna's glory will be spreading all over the world. And that the foundation is the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita as it is given by Lord Krishna. So therefore we have this translation as it is, as Lord Krishna desires. So let's see some discussion. I know so many new topics came today, and there may be certainly some discussion, maybe, so we can discuss. Yes, Anil Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, like you just told that like some people worship some gods, like for example Visa god near Hyderabad, in Telangana. So what I I don't understand what is wrong in going to the temple and asking for a visa if that god is worshipped for that purpose.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so the wrong thing is that they think that they are the supreme god. Like they don't have the conception that, you know, let's say if I give you some gift, then you get attached to me, you come back to me again and again. So you are just revolving within this material world. You don't go beyond, you don't seek for something beyond this. You are habituated to get something quick fix. You don't make a permanent solution for this life. You don't want to go beyond the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. But you just want and want and want within this material world. But you don't realize that, like, oh, I get the visa, I go to America, okay, that's all right. Then again you do something, and then you get some fruit, and then again ultimately, like, you get some job, you earn some money, you retire, and you die, and then after death, like, everything is finished. It's all material benefit. So it's not eternal benefit to our credit. I mean, you can get temporary, you may get a visa, go to visa temple, you may get a visa, that's all right. But if you meet a devotee afterwards, and if you understand Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, and if you start practicing Krishna consciousness, then everything is perfect. Srila Prabhupada says in America, they have so many zeros. In India, they have less number of zeros. So material assets, all the material assets that you have, they are all zeros. So suppose you have $1 million, like you have like 6 zeros. Suppose you have only 100 rupees, then it is only 2 zero. So what is making a 2 0 100 rupees is 1 in front of those 2 zeros. So if you add Krishna, then that becomes so much valuable into your life. So if you have 6 zeros, if you add 1, then it becomes 1 million. Similarly, you may have all visa, you may have all wealth, you may have all resources in your hand, but if you add Krishna in your life, then it becomes very valuable. Is that clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. But the thing is, like, the visa card you're specifying in whatever. I mean, like in this example, so is also the Lord Balaji only, Prabhu. No, Prabhu. Like, so it's almost like equivalent to praying Krishna only. So the
But
thing
you
is,
are
like,
but you are not going there. You are not going there for Krishna's service. You are not going there to serve Krishna, but you are just going there for some material benefit. So Krishna is saying here that yes, people are desiring success in fruitive activities. So when they worship some demigods, they get quick results. That's okay, but they don't get the permanent result. That's what Krishna is making the point here.
okay, fine. So you're trying to say that worshiping that God for temporary results is okay, but still, in addition to that, we have to have, I mean, consciousness in God in such a way that, like, we should not be praying the God only for material results. Is it that's what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever desire you have, in the last verse we read, akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi. So like, if you have a broad intelligence, then whether you have a material desire or no material desire or desire for liberation, you still worship Krishna in bhakti yoga. That is what the conclusion of Bhagavatam is there. So because when you take to worship to Krishna, then Krishna will not only give you the benefit, but Krishna will also purify your desire. For example, I don't have much time to go through the slides. I can show some slides next week. But Dhruva Maharaj, right? Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to become more powerful than his grandfather Brahma, because he was insulted by his stepmother, right? You know Dhruva Maharaj's story, right? Prabhu?
I didn't remember, Prabhu.
Okay. So Dhruva, Bhakta Dhruva, have you heard the name?
No, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. So let us tell this story then.
Okay.
Bhakta
I mean,
Dhruva,
what I mean to say, if you're running out of time, that's okay, Prabhu. We can discuss next week.
yeah, we can discuss next week. So the point I was making is that Dhruva Maharaj was only 5-year-old boy, and the story we can narrate next time, or maybe you can read the story. When you type Dhruva Maharaj, the story may come in Google somewhere, you can find out. But the point is that Dhruva Maharaj, only 5-year-old, he was insulted by his stepmother, and his real mother advised to worship Lord Vishnu. And he went to forest in search of Lord Vishnu. On the way, pure devotee of Lord Krishna, Naradji gave him this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So he was chanting this. And within 6 months, with great austerity, he was fasting, and he was not even drinking any water. He was not even breathing. And Lord Vishnu appeared. And as soon as he saw Lord Vishnu, who is Krishna's form, As soon as he saw him, the Lord says, okay, I am here, what do you want? And he says, after getting your darshan, after being in your presence, all my desires finished. I don't want anything. I just want to serve you. The reason for which I have been doing this austerity is totally not justified. I was just after a broken piece of glass. But now I have found you, who is like a diamond. Then all my desire for the piece of broken glass is gone. I don't want anything material. But still Lord gave him a topmost planet in this material world called Dhruva Loka, the Dhruva Tara, the pole star. So he said, you rule there for millions of years and then you come back to me, like that. So the point is that when we are worshipping the demigods, they just give you the fruits to you, and then you are there, that's it. And demigods are also in the material world. They will also finish with the end of material world. The fruit will also finish with the end of material world. But Krishna will purify your desire, and Krishna will also give you eternal benefit. This is the distinction between the worship of demigods and Krishna. We can definitely go through the story more detail maybe next time, or you can read somewhere. The story is very prominent. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, really welcome. Okay. Anybody else? Aditya or Swami Mataji?
No, Ji, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good. Aditya, you are good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do we have to do? What is the takeaway message from today?
Sir, like Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we should not try to follow these demigods, and
And what is the process we have to take to develop love for Krishna? We begin with faith, association of devotees,
yes, sir.
bhajan kriya.
And then spiritual master, finding the spiritual master, and then following the Bhagavad Gita's guidelines.
And with the association of spiritual master, we have to practice bhakti yoga, right? Sadhana bhakti.
Yes, sir.
Bhajan kriya. And gradually with the bhajan kriya, carefully, then we have to get rid of all material desires, anartha nivritti, and fixed in our devotional service. Gradually develop taste for devotional service, ruchi, then nishtha, then we can develop the bhava for Krishna. So that is the purified step by step we get purification, and gradually we develop love for Krishna. And then we can get rid of all the attachment to the material world and fear of relationship in the spiritual world. And we can get freedom from the frustration and anger of the confusion because of conflicting philosophies. Pravesh? Are you there? Okay, seems he's not able to unmute. Yes, Prachi.
I don't have any question.
Okay. It seems Pravesh lost the signal or something. Okay. All right. All good then. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Sunday. Hare Krishna. Till then, happy Krishna conscious week.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.